Let's return to This Week in America. Here's your host, Rick Bratton.
Welcome back, everybody, coast to coast. This Week in America. When a reviewer calls The Centurion, a novel of the crucifixion by Joe Mack, one of the finest historical novels he's ever read. The Centurion traces 3 generations in an adventurous, thought-provoking story as a Roman soldier sets out on a journey of self-discovery to meet his destiny. The debut historical novel reimagines Jesus' violent fate from the perspective of a Roman centurion who presided over the crucifixion. Joe Mack was born in the heart of Appalachia in 1924, high school graduate in 1942, joined the Marine Corps in 1943, discharged in 45, recalled to active duty for the Korean War, a master's in economics and accounting, began a career in accounting, passed the CPA, taught at a small accounting firm, a college. He, encouraged by a Marine friend to consider writing, helped along the way by a retired English teacher. He wrote a 700-page novel, The Centurion, and with the assistance of 2 editors, was edited down to a 350-page novel, which is receiving excellent reviews. And Joe Mack, author of The Centurion, A Tale of the Crucifixion, is our guest on This Week in America. Joe, welcome to the program. It's great to have you with us today.
All right, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I am looking forward to this, a fascinating book that you put together. I'll start by asking the inspiration for this book. Where did this idea for the new Centurion come from?
It came from my experience in the Marine Corps. All I did was imagine I was a Roman legionnaire because I assumed their experience was not much different than mine when I was on a campaign or in training. So that was the background for my novel. Of course, I had to retire from my business due to failing eyesight when I was about 90. So I had some time in the morning and evening, and my life had been a great adventure, so I just thought I'd write it down.
And included in that, like 80 years of Sunday school. So this was a topic of great interest to you. The book is The Centurion. The book is written by our guest, Joe Mack. It's available at Amazon and his website, thecenturionnovel.com. We'll give you information as we go through the program. In the prologue, you have Cornelius, the centurion, say without explanation that for him, home and country have the same meaning. I found that fascinating. Please elaborate on that.
The word home is a good Anglo-Saxon word, and for Cornelius and myself, home and country have the same meaning. So home is a place where souls gather, and is a place of love and affection. Country is land where people gather, and is also a place of love and affection. So when Cornelius leaves Germany after many years going to Judea, he stops by his home in Cilicia. Cornelius was born on a farm, and I needed to have some way to make him a master of 3 languages. He spoke Greek and Latin and Aramaic. That would be unusual for someone born on a farm in Cilicia. So I had to get some background, and so this is part of that. So as he visits his home, he climbs a high ridge back of the farm and looks into the valley. And when he looks into the valley, he thinks, this is my country, my home. These are my people. This is where I belong. So the home is a place, is a house. The home is a house where there's love and affection, and country is a land where there is people with love and affection. Most of us in our childhood feel that we belong to the people of our childhood. And as we grow older, that feeling becomes stronger and stronger. And throughout the novel, Cornelius recalls with fondness his home and his country.
That's such an interesting perspective. As we're reading the book, The New Centurion, A Tale of the Crucifixion, Cornelius is a very relatable character, as are all of the characters. These are names for most of us, and you give meaning, you give life to these characters in the book. The grandfather with the captain of the ship visits an academy where the captain reads from a manuscript. The grandfather cannot read or write and is overcome by what he just witnessed. Explain the power of that.
My paternal grandmother was widowed at an early age and raised on a 30-acre cotton farm and raised 8 children. She was very, very religious and opinionated, but she did not sanction any bad words in conversation. One of my first cousins said "gosh" during a Thanksgiving meal. Her mother immediately washed out her mouth with homemade Lysol. I never heard my father utter an obscenity. I could tell when he was angry, but not by his language. I needed to provide a background for Cornelius to have this ability to talk without obscenities and with a certain degree of civility.
The book we're talking about is The Centurion, A Tale of the Crucifixion, a historical fiction written by our guest on the program, Joe Mack. You'll find the book at Amazon, the usual places. His website is thecenturionnovel.com. Information, of course, on our website, thisweekinamerica.us. After the trial of Jesus, Cornelius asserts that Pilate refused to acknowledge the gradual replacement of professionals by technicians who applied rules and regulations rather than their professional judgment. Explain that, if you would, please.
During my lifetime, I've seen professionals being replaced by technicians. Professional licenses have fragmented the professions and have resulted in the replacement of the mastery of a body of knowledge by rules and regulations. So Julius Caesar did not realize that his mastery of the Roman law was being replaced by technicians. So I think today most of us in the professions realize that our profession has been fragmented by technicians who make decisions based on rules and regulations rather than professional judgment.
Well, that's something that, yes, we can all relate as you're discussing that. And it's interesting how you incorporate that into your book, historical fiction, The Centurion. In the Battle of Weser River, the Centurion's cohort is attacked by a contingent of German tribesmen. The tribesmen are led by a young man whose enthusiasm evidenced by a glow about his face. A similar glow is evidenced on several occasions when Jesus is baptized. Is this a theme that you carry through your novel?
Yes, the facial glow of a highly committed person is based on personal experience. In World War II, I witnessed at close range the death of a kamikaze pilot. That pilot had a distinctive glow about his face. Artists depict in martyrs a facial glow at their death. In the novel, Jesus has a glow about his face after his baptism, and as he shouts from the cross, "It is finished." So I think highly dedicated people, especially at their death, have a glow about their face based on personal experience.
As the Centurion's cohort prepares to suppress a rebellion in Samaria, he opines that standards of military units deserve honor and deserve respect. I'm taking it this is your belief as well, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I served in the Marine Corps during World War II and during the Korean conflict. In World War II, I served with the 20th Regiment of the 4th Marine Division. During the Korean conflict, I was stationed for some time at the Marine Barracks at 8th and I in Washington, D.C., and then later at I joined the 6th Regiment of the 1st Marine Division at Camp Lejeune. And those units especially, the military banners received the respect they deserved, and those of elite units got special honor and recognition. The banner is a symbol of dedication, courage, and sacrifice. For those who serve, there is a sense of contentment. The greater the danger of the service, the greater the contentment. Unfortunately, those who never served will never know or understand the contentment felt by those who did.
It's interesting, all of your background, all of your years of success in the military, professional, all of that comes to play as you bring the story to life. The Centurion, A Tale of the Crucifixion, Joe Mack, the author and our guest on the program. Your description of Cornelius donning his armor before the battle at Weiser River was really quite impressive. Why was that so important to the story?
Let's see. Some years ago, of course, first is I was greatly. Some years ago, I came across a modern paraphrase of Homer's 19th chapter of the Iliad. It eliminated all references to Greek and Trojan deities and heroes. So I had Cornelius's mother read the Cornelius, not Cornelius, but the donning of the armor, because I was impressed by that. And so I had her read that to him, and then when he joined the Legion, she removed that page from the binder and let him carry it with him. He recalls that as he dons his armor. I thought that was a great passage as it was in that paraphrase, and I used it. I couldn't copy it directly, but I did use the idea in the book. I thought it was great.
Well, it actually was, and it again brings the story to life. Historical fiction so well done with a combination of research and fact and bringing the characters to life in a very relatable story and understandable story. The Centurion, A Tale of the Crucifixion. Semius, the teacher, counsels that everyone is stamped at birth with an ability or skill essential to the community with a mission to develop that ability. Do you agree with him?
Yes, I do. I think greatness results when our abilities are developed to a maximum. It is our mission in life. In World War II, Marines in the Pacific many times were shown raw combat footage before the movie. I saw footage of Colonel Cochran in the China-Burma-India theater addressing the men who were to take a Japanese airfield in the jungle. They were to land in gliders cut loose from C-47s. The odds of surviving the landing were probably 50-50 at best. After explaining the mission, he tells them, tomorrow you will discover you have a soul, and that from the foundation of the world, you were born for this mission. Sitting in the rain, but dry in my helmet and poncho, I was transfixed by the colonel's demeanor. I felt he was talking to me. The better we do, the greater the success of the community. It is the mission of the family to train the child, to encourage him to become great.
You know, in the book, you get us thinking, and there's one occasion the teacher questions the long-term survival of democracies and republics, something that we could probably say is even in the news now as something that's going on that we're contemplating. Do you believe that democracies are in danger?
Yes, I do. Representatives elected by the people spend their time and resources assuring re-election. The United States is one of the oldest republics, and its future does not seem assured. It is the nature of an organization as it grows to develop a body of bureaucrats who manage day-to-day operations but govern in their own best interest. The older and larger an organization, the more powerful the bureaucracy. I have found this to be true.
There's a point when Judas leaves Judea to spread the good news. Cornelius asserts he's intoxicated from his love of humanity. A strange assertion. You read that a couple of times to make sure you're understanding it correctly. Talk about that and the importance to phrase it that way.
Of all my academic courses, perhaps the most influential, I think really the most influential, was a World Lit course using an anthology edited by Thompson and Gassner. It was an oversized 1,000-page volume, and I read every word. In the section on the Bible, they asserted that Old Testament writers were intoxicated by their love of God. I never forgot that line, and I had an opportunity to use it in the novel.
The novel is The Centurion, A Tale of the Crucifixion. Joe Mack is our guest on the program. His website is thecenturionnovel.com. You'll find the book available at Amazon, all of the usual places. In the novel, you have Cornelius writing in Greek, a journal of Jesus' teaching, with Moshe preparing a similar journal in Aramaic. Cornelius gives his journal to Matthew, the disciple. Why did he do that?
Most biblical scholars know that Matthew and Luke have extensive identical texts. They conclude that there was a common source for this duplication. The source is identified by the German Quell, meaning source. I was anxious to see whether anyone would detect my solution to the Quell problem by Cornelius giving Matthew his journal in Greek. I figured no one would detect that. But the son of a friend of mine who had just recently graduated from Belmont University with a major in music, discovered it and that subtlety early on. I was shocked that he did that. I thought no one would detect it.
Joe Mackay, our guest on the program, such a wonderful job he's done with his book, the historical novel, The Centurion, A Tale of the Crucifixion. In the novel, Jesus' humanity, not his divinity, is emphasized. Was this intentional on your part?
Yes, like each of us, I think Jesus wrestled with the concept of divinity. Only when he shouts from the cross, "It is finished," is he fully aware, convinced of his own divinity. On occasion, I stand at the brink of doubt. Then a miracle occurs, and I'm reassured. But when I consider the vastness of the Milky Way, doubt returns. Then, like Adam in the Garden of Eden, I am apprehensive regarding my state. Then I hear a voice. "I am here. Where are you?" And I am again reassured and embarrassed that I ever doubted.
What has this experience been like for you, writing The Centurion, A Tale of the Crucifixion? A lot of work has gone into this, extensive research on your part. How has the novel been received in terms of feedback that you're getting? I mentioned some excellent reviews. What has this been like in getting the story out there and having people think and talk about it?
I think for some of the people who've read it, it has been well received. But I think for most people, they never finished the book. It was, I'm afraid, extending the tale over 3 generations made it a little tedious. And then I referred to material from Job, Antigone, and the Iliad, and that was material not familiar to some of the readers. But I'm pleased with the product, if that was the purpose of my writing, is just to create the novel itself and I'm satisfied. Thank you.
The book is The Centurion, A Tale of the Crucifixion. What did you learn? What was this experience like for you doing the research for the book? What did you learn during this process? You bring the story alive to all of us. What did you learn as you were writing it?
The thing I was taught by a retired creative writing teacher. I had written audit reports for accounting firms and had written technical material, but she was able to, I guess, train me to write, I guess you would call it prose. I'm not sure business majors can write prose, but she taught me how. And, of course, it ended up with a 700-page volume, but I had two younger editors to par it down to about 350 pages, I think, of good material. But most of the technical research was the result of 80 years of Sunday school. When I sat down to write the novel, the first line was, "My name is Cornelius," and it just flowed from then on. Of course, I had the teacher looking over my shoulder. It reminded me of boot camp. She was a hard taskmaster, but I think she did a great job, and I'm greatly in debt to the younger editors for paring all the fluff out of the novel. I think they did a great job and deserve really more credit than I do for the quality of the novel.
Well, you've done an excellent job in taking the research and bringing it alive in your book, the historical fiction, The Centurion, A Tale of the Crucifixion. The author is Joe Mack High, Joe J-O-E, Mack M-A-C-K High, H-I-G-H, if you're going to Google. Book available at Amazon, the usual places, and I'll direct you to the website as well, thecenturionnovel.com. We'll have all of that on our website as well, so you can follow it there and get all the information and order the book as well. Joe, excellent job on this book. I really appreciate you spending some time with us today. Thank you for being with us on the program.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. It's been a great pleasure.
It has been our pleasure. You're welcome, sir. The Centurion, A Tale of the Crucifixion by Joe Mack High. Book on his website, thecenturionnovel.com. You'll also find it at amazon.com, the usual places. And, of course, on our website, thisweekinamerica.us. We're back on today's program right after these messages.
This Week in America is online. You can visit our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Scott Pinkerton, Associate Producer of This Week in America. Jay Anderson, Segment Producer. Ben Watson, Webmaster. Otto Bechet, Director of Engineering and TV Production. This Week in America produced and is a trademark of Blue Funk Broadcasting, LLC. For information on all of our guests and to listen to this week's show, our website again at thisweekinamerica.us. And I'm Sean Bratton, Executive Producer of This Week in America.